All right, good morning. What's up, fellas?
Good morning. Good morning.
How we doing?
Good, man. Good.
All right, yeah. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good, good.
Doing good today.
Good morning, Mom. I definitely get it from you. You show up
Yeah.
every time on time.
Consistent,
Yeah.
consistent.
Good morning, Mar.
Get it from you. So we're gonna jump right into it. Just like the past couple of weeks, we got about an hour and 20 minutes or so. But for today, we're gonna talk much more about the market and how things move it or don't move it that aren't necessarily directly connected to let's look at this stock, let's look at this chart, let's look at this price. Because speaking for me personally, and I guess kind of speaking for Just and G as well, because we've been communicating about it throughout the week, um, there's a lot of distractions that we're often presented with. Us on the call, us in this country, us in this world. And something that I've learned recently is that when you have a dream, when you have a vision, that dream, that vision distracts you from things. When you have a dream, when you have a vision, that dream, that vision distracts you from things. But when you don't have a dream, when you don't have a vision, right? Those things distract you from your dream
Mm-hmm.
and distract you from your vision. It's like blinders, right? And this week was pretty powerful for me because we're finding out some new resources. Um, trying to not trying, see, say my own word. Um, Building a new network and exploring some new approaches to the market, to making moves in the market. And what I noticed, something powerful was when those people raided the Capitol building this week. And I didn't even know what was going on. I don't watch TV really. I definitely don't watch the news. Like if I'm watching TV, it's usually football or basketball playoffs or spending quality time with my girl. But otherwise, it don't got nothing to do with my life. Um, but I only checked it out because I got a message from a white man that said, "Look what's going on. Watch your stocks." Right? Everything turned red. So let's watch it and see how bad it is. If it's something that they can corral today, it's just a pullback. And we probably should buy back in because we're going to be able to get stocks or contracts at a lower price. And due to the trend, it's going right back up. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but you'll be fine. Make sure you got contracts that expire XYZ, right? And it was corralled by the end of the day. And the next day, the market, boom, right? Came up, had my biggest day since I've been trading. And it's very, very similar to the beginning of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were distracted. We're worried about the protests. We're worried about the riots. We're worried about what's fair. We're worried about what's not fair. When we should have been getting to the money. Like something we all missed. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like the week or two or so before the big crash, a lot of huge CEOs started stepping down.
Mm-hmm.
Stepping down. Like when Bill Gates stepped down, like something ain't right. You feel me? A lot of big dogs were stepping down. And we have no clue like where to look to see how we could gain off of that, right? Because we were distracted. We were not informed. We knew all about what was going on across the country, except with the market. So every time we look at a chart and we all get mad when we see March, we missed it
Yeah.
because we were distracted. right? And one thing you'll never hear me say, besides now, is to me talk about my race. Like, it's obvious I'm a black man. Like, I don't have to tell you that. It's obvious this is a black-owned business. I don't have to tell you that, right? But something that I believe that we need to accept in our culture is that it's not going to be fair. It's never been fair. And it probably never will be, right? And that's okay. That's okay. Is it wrong? You got your perspective on it. Is it right? You got your perspective on it. But since we have a deficit to overcome, like just talked about 2 weeks ago, we have to commit all of our energy to overcoming that deficit. Right? It doesn't matter if they were presented with that and we were not. It does not matter. That's what it is. That's what it always will be. So there comes to a point to where you have to accept it. Not accept the situation. Not at all. Fight your fight. But you must accept the challenge. Like, one athlete that I really admire is Patrick Beverly. He rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but he's a dog. Right? And like what really made me gain respect for him. Let me see if I can find the picture. Like here, all we gotta do is scroll through. Watch this. All we gotta do is scroll through. This dude like 6'1", something like that. Him versus LeBron is a total mismatch. Total mismatch in favor of LeBron. But he gives LeBron fits. He gives him fits. I don't care that you have the advantage. I don't care that you have this physical ability. I don't care that they call you an intellectual genius, a basketball genius. It's not fair, but I'm coming with all I got. I'm not spending time worrying that you have the advantage, because I can overcome that by the way that I think and what I believe in. And it's nonstop. It's nonstop. He just goes and goes and goes and goes, right? And you'll often you'll often hear me refer to being a dog, right? That's a dog. A dog doesn't care about what the situation was, right? For those of you who are religious, or those of you who just have a context, David didn't care how big Goliath was, right? I don't know who the person was, but there was a king or something that came to David's house. And he actually wanted his bigger brothers to go fight Goliath and whoever the people were with him, right? But they was nervous. David was like, I'll do it. So they went to wherever the site of the battle was, and they gave David this armor. It was like way too big. It didn't serve no purpose, right? But we all know the story. He didn't have no weapon, so he made a slingshot. Knocked Goliath out. And the part that I didn't know about that I learned recently, he cut Goliath's head off and held it up, right? Like, who's next? It's a little gruesome, but like, that's the kind of perspective that you have to take, right? Because if you're still hurt, if you're still scorned, right, and you're still distracted, you're going to miss opportunities. Because we can do it. Like, there's nothing that we cannot do because we look different, we have a different background, we have anything different. And the silver spoon kind of thing is irrelevant, because if you look up the data, at least in 2021, the present day millionaires and billionaires, the far majority of them are self-made. The far minority of them are ones who were handed things, right? So I just noticed, like, there's so many distractions, right? And if you don't want to be financially set and you just want to be where you are, stay distracted, and that's fine. Like, everybody doesn't want to be a high value person in some kind of area, especially financially, right? If that's your thing, do your thing. But truly, like, if you really do want to help your culture, your people, bring peace or bring a fight, The best way to do that for real is to get your bread up, right? I'll be able to follow these dudes everywhere they go and broadcast it and help my people. Or I see that there's a deficit here and I always complain about the school system not teaching. Let me get my bread up and I'll just volunteer my time and go teach these kind of things. Or I'll start my own network and I'm going to post and I'm going to post and I'm going to post. I'm going to get my bread up and travel the world. Like, look where I came from. Look where I go. Right? So we must stop getting distracted. The government is not going to help you. President, you got your perspectives on it, but no president ever helped me. Right? I ain't getting no stimulus. I could use one. I most definitely could use one. Right? And then also when it comes to like the class of cultures, the worst things I've ever seen the people do to people that look like me were done by people that look like me. That I've seen in my own life. Like on TV, I could tell you something different. But the worst things for us, like it be us. That don't mean everything is right. Don't get it twisted. There's a world-renowned teacher. He's passed away now. His name was Jim Rohn. He says a boy graduates to a man not at a time when his age hits a number. He graduates from boy to man when he accepts full responsibility for what happens to him, for what he does. It is not a number thing. And by being the underdog, embrace it. Embrace it. Like most of us in our circle of friends, we Eagles fans. 2018, Eagles wasn't supposed to win the ship, but they embraced it. They bought all them dog masks. That was the shirt. We the underdogs. We coming for you. It wasn't, oh, that's Tom Brady. They got the best quarterback ever, and they got the best coach ever. And they cheat. And they won before. And they got on. It wasn't none of that. It was that dog mindset. So I challenge everybody on the call, everybody who's listening, not to sacrifice your character, not to sacrifice your morals, your values, or principles. But it's time to accept the situation. Because if you believe, remember we talked about thoughts and beliefs? If you believe that things are not fair, you're going to anticipate the opportunities to voice that opinion. Right? Then you're going to be intentional about looking for those things, and you're going to focus on those things. And then that leads to your opportunity. You got the opportunity to talk about what's been hurting you. You got the opportunity to talk about what's been unfair. Or if you believe those are men and women just like we men and women. They just came from a cold environment. We came from the heat. That changes how we look. So then you anticipate, I can do whatever I want to do. Some of these people do bad things. Some of those people do bad things. Then you're intentional about focusing on what's going to help you grow. Whether you want to help, not be involved, be a bystander, or whatever the case may be. And then you focus on different things. Oh, they all running down in the Capitol building? Everything going red. Let me see. I'm going to hang out for a little bit. I'm going to have to cut my losses and then drag the puts. You could have lost everything on March 15th. You made it back by March 19th plus more, and it would have ran all the way to July if you were paying attention. Right? But we're so focused on being entertained and telling people about our pain that we're missing the education so we can gain. Right? And what you think. What do you think? I think that these people hate me so much. Or I think that they think that they're superior. Or I think that this is unfair. So you make the choice to look out for those things. Right? You make the choice to look out for those things. And then your behavior is a little bit different. You're jumping at the opportunities to do X, Y, Z, to prove your point. Right? Your experience is different. You remember You remember every piece of pain. You remember everything that went wrong. You gravitate right to the negative, right? Then your emotions are different. But if you're thinking, I'm not going to get distracted, I'm going to focus on where I have to go. So I'm going to choose while everybody is watching the news, I'm going to use the news to lead to my future moves. Right? And if I had the feelings that a lot of people had that I seen publicly, I would have missed that news because it came from a person who's part of the culture that I'm so hurt by. I'm not joining that group because it's led by somebody who's part of that culture. Right? Then the behavior was different. CNN, Weibo. Capitol building, accounts. Your experience is different. Oh, all of that happened. Yeah, all of that was happening, it was wrong, but I got this bread. Right? And money, like I say, money is just a resource. Don't get it like just take your money. No, but if it really bothers you that much, get your bread up and go do something about it. That's when you really gonna have to risk it. That's when they got Martin Luther King, when he started talking about the bread, right? That's usually when people get got. Because that's what changes things, not the actual bread, but what you are able to do with it if you're a stand-up woman or if you're a stand-up man, right? Then your experience is totally different. Your experience is totally different. Then you'll feel different. So my thing for today is it's very, very important that we shift our paradigm, our standard programming, the way that we think. Like we get an iPhone, every 90 days or so, you get that red dot on the settings button, you get that alert for the system update. It's like time to update the system. And it's not going to be what we're standardly taught. What we're standardly taught, we get the standard results that we get. Right? All right, Carol, when I say bread, sorry, I'm just talking to y'all like I talk, it is money. And I see you, Justin. I'm about to finish up. So your paradigm is going to help you start to shift to focusing on your dreams and not the distractions, right? And you can alleviate the stress that comes from this situation by improving your ability and getting more resources so that you can meet these extra demands and fulfill the extra needs that come with these situations. You got it, Justin.
Definitely feel free to jump in, anybody. But I just wrote down a couple of things that popped out to me as Mark was talking. One, I want to be extremely, extremely empathetic to everyone who was, anybody who's just in a emotional unrest right now, given this week's events. I think it's completely understandable. Especially if you're someone who is tethered or has a close connection to politics, or you just happen to be a humanitarian and somebody that literally feels everything that goes on out here, because I genuinely believe that some people have that gift of really being connected to the energy and of the world and how people are doing. And to be honest with you, right now, just as a collective whole for people in society are pretty much at a suppressed level, overall. But it isn't to say that in tough situations there aren't great opportunities. And I think that's really what we're focusing on. And it's not, so I wanted to preface by saying that, right? I want to acknowledge people's feelings and the place that some people may be in at a very low point, but to know that when you are at such a low point, the opportunity for a huge upside is there much more than when you are not down. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to share was that as we're talking about stocks, we're talking about making a connection between what happens in the world and then, connecting to the stock market. I think it's important for all people to understand that this is not a black game. This is not a white game. This is simply a money game. That's it. However, in the midst of a money game, ways to allow people to continue to stay in the position that they are, and so one thing is people are allowed, because of information or because of perspective, people who already have information or a certain mindset are able to capitalize because of that mindset. However, for the people who do not have that mindset, to be able to disconnect from the emotion of news, of events, their reality stays the same as well because of what Malcolm is talking about, which is the focus, right? Same event is happening, but the focus on what the potential that it can create is very, very different, okay? So what I've learned is that as minority people, as a collective, we have been taught wrong. We have learned the wrong perspective to take when given huge events like this or emotionally told experiences. We are taught to look at the negative side, right? However, when you get a chance to just live long enough, like I remember my dad telling me over and over, son, don't be so judgmental, man. All you got to do is just keep living. You might find yourself to be in them jokers' shoes or sitting in their seat one day. And you'll be a lot less judgmental because it's your turn at that point, right? So, like Malcolm, I don't turn my TV on. In fact, I myself got the news by watching the reaction in the market. I happened to be in the midst of a trade, okay? And my trade was going my way, and out of nowhere, because my trading style is not necessarily from the daily chart of watching how stocks move from a day to day. I'm more so looking at a minute chart or a 5-minute chart. I'm in a trade, and instantly, without any kind of regard or notification, the stocks across the board, they just sink. And I don't mean sink, normal movement. I'm talking about, if you're talking about a $1 stock, it might fluctuate anywhere between, 2 and 5 cents per minute just moving. I'm talking about in 1 minute dropping 60 cents, which is humongous, okay? Catastrophic in some situations, okay? And for me, it was a great learning opportunity because I did ride that emotional roller coaster, to be honest with you. I felt more of an emotional response from the stock market dropping than I did from what I saw on TV, okay? But I've learned that we have to make a connection between world news, United States news, and the movements in the market. I instantly changed from one of an emotional response of, how could people react and be so scared? This is just one event, and all of those different kinds of boiled up emotions to, okay, this is the situation that we're in. I clearly see a correlation between March 15th and today's events, which is a huge drop. So my focus goes to, dang, Just, I'm actually upset with you because you picked up the trading and you began to focus on trading when that dip happened. You weren't in a position to take advantage of the first dip. And now you find yourself to be a victim of this second dip as well. The goal in life for me and myself and my family and the people that I directly influence is to not experience the same harm twice. If we can do that as people, as a collective, as a family, as a network, then we'll minimize harm in life overall by so much more percentage. All right. Just not to experience the same harm twice. And for me, I'm thankful that the market did recover. But I learned that I was able to be in a position to benefit from the recovery because I viewed the news separately than what I was taught growing up. Okay. And I learned that the best thing I can do for poor people is not be one of them. Now, I might be able to identify with them through my life experiences. I may be able to identify with them through how I look, how I decide to show myself physically to the world, right? I can identify with them and maybe those experiences that come along with those things. But the amazing thing, and I think the biggest benefit of anyone that can play, that can sit in this seat that I sit in, is to be able to identify, but not be able to identify. Okay. And I really want to get to maybe a little bit less of an abstract example of what happened on Wednesday between the connection between the market and the news. But everyone knows Tesla at this point. And prior to the news on Wednesday of our Capitol building being overtaken or infiltrated, Tesla actually made a 52-week high. It was somewhere around 788, I believe. Okay, $788 for one share of Tesla. Instantly, within 3 minutes, you could get a teen percentage or 20+% discount on the Tesla stock. It dropped from 788 to under 750. Okay, now that is significant, because for me as a minority, I was taught to really, really focus on discounts when it comes to consuming products. Oh man, go to this store, man, they got like 50% off. It's like a blowout sale. The store is gonna close. It's Black Friday coming up. Oh, you can get that $1,000 flat screen for like $400. And that was like, oh man, I was like winning the lottery sometimes. But you still find yourself to be in a position where, yes, you did get a big discount, you did get a deal, but you were left with the product with no potential upside, right? It was just like, hey, I put my money into this thing, and yes, I got it at a discount, but like in the next 2 months, there's going to be a better version out, right? And it wasn't the best deal to get. It didn't give me opportunity to eat off of my investment. So let's fast forward to Tesla on Wednesday. Anyone could have purchased Tesla at $749, let's say. The next 2 days, Tesla jumped 18%, okay, up to $884. It jumped nearly $100 for one stock. Now, let me share how significant 18% is, okay? If you put your money in a bank account at this point, you are going to get less than 0.5% return per year. 0.5% return on your money in any bank in the United States or across the world, okay? The goal of any real estate agent, any real estate investor, the person that is purchasing a home for low, selling it for high, their goal is to get a 7% return on their money, with hopefully the high goal of somewhere around 30%, which is very, very rare, okay? But if you get into a deal and you can get 7% of your money back profit, then that is a very, very good deal, and you can do that multiple times and have a very, very above average lifestyle in America. Now we're talking about 18% in the span of 2 days, y'all. That is astronomical. If you put $100,000 in one company, you're talking about gaining. You're throwing $100,000 in there. You got $118,000 in your account in the measure of 2 days. Understanding how significant that is and positioning yourself in a place to be able to ride that wave will be the difference between what God asks you to do, which is leave an inheritance. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's aligning yourself to be, as I'm a firm faith believer, like I believe in God. I've seen him work genuinely in my life, as if he was a legitimate magician. So he got my vote of confidence. I'm rocking with him until my days are over, right? Now, I want to align myself to be somebody that God can be proud of, so he can give an automatic thumbs up when it's my time to get a yay or a nay to enter those gates in heaven or not. And I want to do what he commands me to do as a man. And one of the things that I do focus on is leaving an inheritance to my children's children, and that God helps those who help themselves. And I want to tie back in, and I'm wrapping up because I know there's a lot of other perspectives in the group to be shared. But I want to tie back to what Malcolm was saying, which is being a minority and focusing on maintaining sometimes that victim position, where that doesn't help us as, stating and staying in the place of, how we are so unfairly treated. I want to share that the rules of the game are different for us as much as we don't want them to be. Okay. Will they stay like that forever? I can't tell you. I'm not sure. If you look at me and you want to be honest with yourself, I'm still a young man in my journey. Okay. It's still very, very young in my journey. So I can only tell you what I've experienced up until this point in my journey. But what I can tell you based on my journey thus far is that things have been consistent in comparison between how I've been handled or treated because of my skin color. There's a very close correlation or connection between what my father experienced in his life and maybe my grandfather. Okay. Maybe not to the extreme, but there's some similarities. So I understand that the rules are different for me because of how I look, but that doesn't mean that I can't change how that affects me. Okay. And I learned that because the rules are different from me, I have to approach the game differently, and I have to be sharper than the average joker. I have to be sharper than them. Right? If you watch The Shot, is the young girl that was in the show. She was at that prep school that the young man went to, that Kevin went to, and she talked about how we can't just be better. We have to be phenomenal as minority people in order to just have our skill set recognized by sometimes the marketplace, by our own people, by those who then can offer opportunities. And to be honest with you, I look at that as a beautiful space to sit in. Because if the only time that I'm ever going to be recognized is when I'm operating at my highest, that's a blessing, man. I don't necessarily want to be recognized for half-assing anything in this life. If the only time that people are going to give me my kudos and my flowers or when I'm the best version of myself, I'm going to look at that as a gift from God, because I know what standard I got to keep myself at. And if that means that I have to unlearn some things that I was taught by my community or even by my household, because I do want something different than maybe my parents had, or the trajectory that I see my family is going through, then I'm going to be the person that does humble myself or does maybe separate myself for a little bit to be able to see what are we missing as a collective. And it's going to be like getting up Sunday morning collectively and talking to my friends, recapping what happened in the week. It's going to be saying, dang, what did my dad miss in his 30s that didn't have him position himself through the next 21 years of his life to be able to leave on a note that maybe was higher than what he left at. So I just urge everyone that's, within earshot of this conversation to take a step back. Yes, take an inventory of your emotions from this week, because emotions are going to be your biggest barrier to overcome en route to changing your trajectory and changing your life, right? Take inventory, definitely have a face-to-face and one-on-one with yourself, because it's important. No one can tell you how to feel. And if you hurt, it's okay to be hurt. Acknowledge that you hurt, but just don't stay in that place. There's somebody coming up behind you, whether it's your child, your grandchild, somebody on your row in your block that's watching you, and they're watching to see how you recover or how you address this upcoming week. Because I will tell you, like Malcolm said, or like I shared in the beginning, Malcolm posted, it's not a black game, it's not a white game. We have had an opportunity to celebrate with people of all colors this week who bounced back in ways that we've never seen on Thursday and Friday, who went into the weekend celebrating. And money is not everything. I'm going to lean into this part of the conversation. Money is not everything. But if you happen to be a United States citizen, whether by choice or by birth, we have all elected to be in a capitalistic marketplace. The market that we live in is directly moved or not moved by finances. There's a direct correlation on what you have access to, whether it is healthcare, education, or counseling, or whatever it is, based on what income you have. And that's a reality that minority people can no longer ignore. We can't ignore it any longer, y'all. We gotta have bread. We have to have money. We do have to. That has to be a priority in our homes. It has to be. We know, we know the difference. We see the difference when we go in a supermarket. Our produce looks different, y'all. It really does. I'm telling you. I was connected to it. I watched my father's demise because of a lack of understanding of health. I'm telling you, man. I listen to Benny the Butcher album every week working out. He talk about how he lost his brother, and he said, it's hard to look at my nephews because I see my brother, right? He said, how he be worth so much, but I lose him so early, right? And I'm just one person that can identify with that reality, right? And for me, I wish not to put anybody in a position to talk about me in the same light. Justin had so much upside, so much potential, and it's a shame that he didn't get a chance to finish his race, right? So me and my wife, we travel 25 minutes every week to go food shopping. Because right now at the place that I'm in, we positioned ourselves to live in a market that doesn't have proper produce, but has proper upside when it comes to the housing market. We're gonna capitalize off of that aspect, but we're willing to drive 25 minutes. That is the counter side, right? There's a high and low of every decision that you make. But I want to be very, very clear, y'all. Not just to us in this group, but to anybody that ever listens to this, because hopefully this will be available as long as YouTube is up. But as minority people, we have to continue to prioritize finances and getting into the seat that we see Jay-Z constantly urging people who look like us to get to, right? We got to get to the table, right? And the only way to get a seat at the table is to be damn near an equal, all right? We got to build ourselves. So that Balenciaga, that help me out. Somebody come off the mic and help me with the rest of the high-end fashion. Gucci.
Fendi, Gucci, you can name it. All the
Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton is owned by the same man that owns Hennessy, that owns a number of other brands that are directly connected to Black culture, right? Somebody just be sharp enough to to invest whatever it is. I don't care if it's saved money, street money, money that your family been sitting on. Yo, create a Louis for us. We love that. We love that quality of product. We really do. If you're a cognac joker, yo, we need us a Henny. We need it. We don't need to be ambassadors though, right? Yo, Ross, I really, really appreciate you as an entrepreneur, as a rapper. But bruh, Bel Air, let's move it to the side. Get you a $30 champagne. Come on, baby. Pair up with Diddy. Let us get one factory. Hook up with a joker that just got a biology degree, that just got a chemistry degree from one of these schools. I don't care what school it came from. Somebody know how to mix different concoctions to be able to get champagne, bubbly, and different flavors. We know how to make perfumes. Black people know how to make oils. I spent 35 minutes talking to Malcolm Lady yesterday. Me and my wife talked to Malcolm Lady for 35 minutes yesterday, talking about how she goes to support a young lady in our area who makes scented shea butter, right? And she got that skill from her mother that has passed on. And her mother passed her on a skill that her and her sister now have a storefront. They can't keep items in their home. I mean, in their storefront. And they making scented shea butter, y'all. They making it for cents and they selling it for $15.
Yes.
Yep. So, if we're talking about making something for cents and selling it for $15, forget Tesla's 18% in 2 days, y'all. We're talking about us supporting us with a higher percentage upside. We're talking about like 1,000% return by getting shea butter and putting perfume or Muslim oil in it. You understand? And we have those talents and we show it time after time. We decorating Crocs, right? You turning a $50 pair of Crocs into a $100 pair of Crocs by putting Balenciaga stickers on them and LV, and you rhinestoning them out because we got natural gifts, y'all. We genuinely do as minorities. We turn pig intestines into a main course, all right? And we got soul food that is now turned into chains, right? But let's do a better job of just like, let's not spend on Balenciaga in 2021. But let's support brands like, even if like here in the DMV, we got museums. But then let's put the press on them and say, hey, we got AMO, right? We got right to the bottom right or bottom left, however you're looking at it. We got a Black-owned brand. We got Game 7, right? That's been sponsoring these weekly, value-added conferences, right? We don't got to pay to go into a conference hall no more. We don't got to pay for seminars like our parents did any longer. And despite the responsibilities that Malcolm has as a parent, as an educator, as a son, as an uncle, as a godfather, he still decides to put his finances, and we decide to put our finances in a direction of adding value to anybody that'll listen. And right now, we don't even got a big pool of people that's listening, right? But I'm going to wrap up by saying it's not a black game. It's not a white game. It's a money game. And how we get to the financial stability that will give us mental health stability and physical health stability is by seeing ourselves for the value that we do add to our society, to our marketplace, in the fact that minority communities have a multi-trillion-dollar spending power every single year in the United States of America. $1 trillion spending power. Okay? Churches across America make $50 million on average every Sunday. Today, Black and minority churches will pull in over $50 million weekly, okay, by taking tithes, by taking up different type of initiative offerings, and there's no shame or no, bad publicity on them. I'm simply sharing that money is definitely floating in our communities, in our societies, and in our circles. It's just that it is time for young people like us to begin to give maybe sometimes the older generation or people in different positions a different perspective to use that money in, okay? Quite honestly, we don't need retirement accounts, y'all. When we talk about people constantly putting money in their 401k, you had someone else that put money in the market for you on Thursday, on Wednesday evening, right? Who had the same information that we did, because aftermarket on Wednesday showed that people were buying the dip. Okay, they weren't selling the dip. All right, and that meant that the market was going to recover Thursday morning. There was an indication on Wednesday evening, even in the midst of the Capitol building still having nonstop cameras. We had confirmation Wednesday evening. So for the person that you gave your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan, and they told you they would invest it. so that you could have a better situation when you retire and give a job 30 years of your life. They got 18% from Tesla in 2 days. They gave you maybe 1%, and then they charged you for managing your finances on top of it.
All right, Jess. All right.
Boom.
All right. Appreciate that, Pastor Jess. All
Sorry.
right. Who else? I know somebody else got something. What y'all got? What y'all
It's
thinking?
hard to follow that. I mean, I had a couple of points. I'm not gonna lie, but
Move
between
up, G.
between the two of y'all covered everything. I think to bring it back to center, just to summarize, the opportunity that we all have is one, like you said, just being in the world and being a human and feeling these events, and we have to remember that that's okay. It hurts. It makes us sad. It's unfortunate, but you have to stay cognizant in those moments to remember that these actions also have impacts in the market. So what we have as this collective, the opportunity we have is to start to understand when something like Wednesday happens, or when some type of shortage happens, or when something changes in terms of some type of law or government, how that affects the market. And I think in time, you get a better barometer on how that will impact the market. So I know on Wednesday when everything was happening, I think I had like back-to-back meetings. So I put my phone down and then I opened it and it looked completely different than the first time I picked my phone up. So, had I had more experience, I probably wouldn't have panicked as much as I did because, like you said, the market's going to come back. So over time, you start to understand how these events impact the market. I agree, Ms. Debbie, the passion and knowledge is crazy. But you understand how it impacts the market and you get a little more comfortable playing amidst turmoil. So that's one thing that we'll continue to learn. But for the people watching, the people who will watch this in the future, be comfortable feeling, but also monitoring how these events impact the market and everything else around you.
Yeah, I want to jump in. This is something I always say because this is when I first started learning about the market. This is one of the first things that stuck out to me. The market operates through fear and greed, right? So when you have things that numerous amount of horrendous things like we've seen this week happen, obviously the market is going to move because people are scared. Like everybody, like, I don't know, what is this country coming to? Let me sell all this. I got to protect myself. I got to protect my family. I don't want to lose money. So right away, that's why everything sells off. So if you don't understand that the market is moved by that fear of, just like we've been saying, that human emotion that everybody has, right? No matter who you are, we all have emotion tied into our bread. Like no one wants to even lose $50. Like, so when you have that understanding, that's extremely important because you still can capitalize on, just like you did just the next couple of days, winning after that initial fear struck, right? People are still going to be a little weary. They're like, I don't know, right? But when we believe and have that knowledge, and that belief is the key word, right? If you don't believe that you know enough, if you don't believe that you can actually make the money, if you don't believe that this works, and you believe in the old traditional, I'm just going to put my money in the bank, I'm going to let it work for me, I'm going to go work, then I'm going to get this 401k, and then I'll just be okay at 65 and I'll live the rest. That's fine. If that's what you want to do for security, that is fine, right? But we're realizing at this stage in our lives, that's not where we want to go, because that's the old traditional ways that people in front of us did. And that's a way for us to keep us just on this one track of being ordinary, right? But if we can make our money work for us while still gaining more capital, it'll allow us to be able to live more freely. And like Malcolm and just said, that's a way for us to get at the table, right? It doesn't matter if you come in with a bread, it doesn't matter if you purple, pink, people gonna say, okay, I like what that bread look. That green looks mighty green to me. So it doesn't matter what you are. If you come in with your bread right, people are gonna listen. You're gonna be able to have opportunities to affect the things that make you so angry, the things that you're so hurt about, right? Which is why we do Game 7, right? We have the opportunity to help people. We didn't like the way that the school systems were working, right? So what we say, yo, let's start our own thing, create revenue while we serve other people. And that's the thing. But just to wrap up is believing, is knowing that the market is ran on fear and greed. And that's what it is. Do you want to accept the just traditional safe life, or you want to bet on yourself and go with your future?
I want to jump in right quick. Just get my little 2 cents right fast. Y'all can hear me? Clear? Wednesday was I'm a movie guy. So Wednesday was a chance. Like I take lines from a movie and then I run with those. So it's a movie in Denzel where they robbed the bank. Well, Inside Job, right? And it's a line where the lady says, where there's blood in the streets, buy real estate or buy land or something like that. And Wednesday was actually one of those chances where you can actually buy something because it was kind of sort of blood in the streets. It was a distraction. It was something major going on, right? And when it's always something major going on, there's always a time to invest in something that people are not watching, something that people are not looking at, right? So Wednesday was actually that perfect time to do that. I know I saw the markets were, going a little haywire. So I was like, let me see if I could buy some crypto right quick. Let me see if I could do something. I know crypto is going crazy. So let me see if I can, put a couple dollars in there and see what happens. Put a couple dollars in there, made a couple of dollars. And another thing, when you're looking at these, I guess, political events that happen or these historical events that happen, you got to operate, or I operate from the mindset of save yourself, no one's coming to help you, right? And when you operate from the save yourself, no one is coming to help you, you start to come up with creative ideas to save yourself, right? You're going to have friends, of course, that they can help you, or your immediate circle. But if you're looking for the actual government to help you, or you're looking for a political power, or you're looking for a group to help you, that's not going to happen, right? So once you get into a space where you have to lean on yourself and lean on yourself like alone, you start to come up with all sorts of creative ideas as to how to close that gap, how to get yourself out of danger. You got to imagine if you were dropped in the middle of the ocean and the only way to land was to go straight, you're not going to sit there and doggy paddle and wait for somebody to come get you. What you're going to do is, or what you have to do is, save yourself. Start putting one stroke behind another and head towards land. So in times like that, when there's blood in the streets, buy land or buy something, buy a commodity, something is happening, right? And then operate from the save yourself. If you save yourself, right, you don't look for any help, right? One, if someone sees you trying to save yourself, they'll probably try to offer you help. But if you don't, right, you sit there, you doggy paddle, you're going to die, right? Save yourself. That's all one little 2 cents.
Yeah, just to jump on that real quick, I know somebody else wants to talk, but one thing we talked about the other day, Malcolm says it too. When you're on an airplane and they're going through the safety protocol and the oxygen mask drops, what's the first thing they say? They don't say, put it on the next person next to you, even if it's your kid. You got to put your oxygen mask on first, because if you can't breathe, how are you going to help somebody else breathe? Right? So that was a really good analogy, Ray. Good job.
Kels, Bizzle.
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered a lot of ground with that one. I definitely, anytime there's an opportunity to make money, or anytime there's an opportunity where emotions get affected within the economy, you just know there's always an opposite, right? Like when we say, I'm pretty sure when 9/11 occurred, there's a lot of people who made a lot of money, and not even for a day, but made a lot of money for a week or so. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that we always realize is that
it's like catastrophic events have a way bigger ripple, and it almost gets to the point where you don't. I am not even gonna say it, like you don't pray for it to occur, but when you look at things occur and you see like major events in the news, you're like, yo, this is an opportunity. I'm not even gonna think about it. So I think disconnecting the emotion to not be driven in with the media, not be driven in with everything else, and actually using your head, yo, how can I use this situation to benefit myself or benefit other people? I think is very, very crucial. So I mean, you guys covered a lot of other things. I'm not going to, keep hitting on it, but I mean, I definitely will agree that catastrophic events are actually pretty good financially.
Where yeah, definitely. I did touch on everything, mostly everything, but I do want to say that I feel like when you take care of yourself, you can take care of everybody else. If you can't take care of yourself, and you can't take care of anybody else. So like if you get your bread right and you feel like this political or this rating of the Capitol Hill made you feel some type of way, then the best thing to do is get your money up so you can fund these charities or the things that you feel should be better off in this world. Getting your money up can help you fuel those things. If you feel like Black Lives Matter is something that you feel is big and you want to get behind, then take your money to Black Lives Matter and help them find a situation for the things that we're going through. If you feel that you want to put your money into the church, then take your money and put it into the church so they can help figure out what's going on in their community. Best thing to do is get your capital right so you can help everybody else. If your capital not right, you can't help nobody else, not even yourself.
And one more thing I'll add in there, I'm not necessarily a Trump supporter, but we ain't got to go deep into that. But I guarantee you Trump made a lot of money off what he did with the whole rioting and sending people to the Capitol because he knew exactly what was going to happen. He capitalized on that. So
yeah, that's literally the point I wanted to make, right? It's just a shift of perspective that we've all been talking about, right? Is you notice the hardship, but you get a chance to understand that hardship presents opportunity. And if we're able to see that from the information that we are given at the level of life that we live in, right? We don't have insider information. We're not in the rooms where like policies are created or the most elite people, discuss important things or even general things. We're everyday citizens. And if there's enough tape, film, evidence for us, given to this level of people that we are at to be able to make these connections, you better know that the people in positions of power know this as well, right? So for many people that, for a lot of real and honest reasons, do not like the gentleman who is our current president, and there's a lot of evidence, right? But I genuinely believe that he is sharper than what people give him credit for, because he understood. Number one, he understands that he is not going to be in the position that he's in a couple weeks. If I know my situation is going to change and I'm in a position to be able to benefit from, well, let's say this, I'm gonna put it in regular words. If I know that I'm not going to have a job in the next 2-3 weeks, and I'm in a position to make sure that I can springboard into something else after that, or even live a much higher or more profitable life, then I'm gonna do it, right? And if there's anybody, there hasn't been more of an economist as a president than Trump. He understands markets. He understands why you think he's so savage on Twitter, right? These are just money moves. They're constant money moves. He constantly has his eye on the prize, right? Let's constantly reiterate that money is not everything, right? Because life will show you that money is not everything. But what we are showing you is, what we are emphasizing that is that in those moments when money is not everything, usually we reach out to the people who can help us financially because the help does cost. Okay? And the reality of it is that people like Trump know that hardship produces opportunity, and they create the space to be able to benefit from the opportunity that they create, either themselves or that they can notice the same way that we do. All right. And history does repeat itself. Life does repeat itself. So now that we have had this check-in, the onus should be on us collectively to ensure that we have nothing but success stories the next time that life offers us hardship or an opportunity.
And let me jump in right there, Just. I think what we have to learn is how to see the breadcrumbs. Because to your point, every tweet is a breadcrumb. When Trump said stand back and stand by, whatever it is he said, that was a breadcrumb. That was letting you know that something is coming. And if you only look at it from an emotional perspective, you get upset at those comments, you get upset at those tweets, and then you respond to it maybe on Twitter or you talk about it with your friends. And that's okay. I'm not mad at people for having reactions, but take some time to think about the breadcrumb. You pick it up, you realize that you're going somewhere. He's leading you to something. And that something is what Wednesday was. And I wasn't surprised. I was surprised at how it unfolded, but I wasn't surprised that something happened because he's been fueling the fire for a long time. And I don't know if we were collectively in the position to react in the most beneficial way for ourselves, but going forward, I think we'll pay attention to those breadcrumbs and we'll realize that something is coming. And then we'll be able to capitalize.
I think there's a potential breadcrumb coming anytime between now
10 days from now
and the inauguration. All
right.
right.
Like that might have been a test.
Bingo.
Might have been a test, right? But I want to start to close it out. I'm about to go on full screen because I got some bars for you. All right. So, the biggest animal in the jungle is like an elephant, more or less. The smartest animal is like maybe the monkey or maybe, I don't know, some random animal, right? The fastest animal is the cheetah. The strongest animal is like the rhino, right? But the king is the lion. Not because he's the biggest, not because he's the fastest, or she's the fastest, not because they're the strongest, not because they're the smartest, but because of their attitude. It's because of their attitude, right? A lion, that's like my version of a dog. When a dog walks into a room, the followers feel intimidated. The snakes feel threatened. But the other dogs, they feel inspired, right? So the lion is the king because of the attitude. And we often talk about the lion versus the gazelle. The lion runs to hunt, right? And if you notice, a lion doesn't hunt wounded animals. It'll let a wounded animal walk right by because it loves to hunt, right? But it has to hunt because it has to eat and its family has to eat. With a gazelle, they just eat the grass or whatever they eat on the floor, right? And they don't run to eat. They run away from the lion. And they don't even have to run away from their lion. Their focus is only on not being the slowest gazelle. They survive. Only the slowest is going to get snatched, right? So you got to shift your attitude. That's how you become king. It's attitude, right? And the king of the skies is an eagle, right? It's the total opposite of a chicken. Now, you know, chickens can't fly, primarily because they eat, they go to the bathroom, then they eat that again. They keep their old things with them. They keep it with them. They eat, they go to the bathroom, they eat it again. They keep it with them. Eat, go to the bathroom, keep it with them. Eagles don't do that, right? And eagles are known for their vision. They see things that the other animals can't see from way, way away. And when a storm comes, they back up and see the bigger picture. Eagles fly above the storm. They have the ability to go above it. So when all that turmoil is going on at the Capitol, oh, I see that going on, I'm going to go there. Don't nobody else see that yet. I'm going to grab that, right? Because I think KP, he didn't want to say be excited for the chaos. I think KP, I'm putting words in your mouth. It's like you get an excitement when you know that you're prepared, right? Whatever way this goes, I'm prepared for it, right? Because I have my own identity. I'm a lion. I shifted my attitude. Like Ray said, it's blood in the water, so I have to save myself. So come on with it. If we're going to sink, I got a safety boat, right? And I got a jet ski. I got the helicopter on call, and I took Olympic swimming lessons, so I'm going to survive. I'm prepared for it, right? When this happens, y'all won't be going. I'll survive. I'll get all the checks that come from, I'll get the insurance, XYZ, right? So with that eagle vision, with that lion attitude, that's most definitely going to dictate how you focus, right? Because you got three choices every time you focus, right? What are you going to focus on? Whatever you focus on, you feel. You can get that excitement of preparation feeling that KP was talking about, or you can get that mass chaos. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Sell off, or I have no clue what's going on with the market. This is just not fair that they get to do this, they get to do that. That kind of feeling. You'll feel it, right? Number two, what does it mean? Oh, this community gets to do that, but I don't. Or the stocks are going down, so I get to do this. Or I'm going to generate this money because now I have a new cause that I want to go help people with. I'm going to get this person. I'm going to get this person. We all going to talk. We're going to broadcast it to 1 million people. I don't have 1 million people. I'm going to spend on marketing to get 1 million people to spread my message, right? And that's going to dictate how you feel. How important is it to you? How important to you is it? What emotions come about? And then number three is, what are you going to do? And what you do is solely based on how you feel, right? So have that lion attitude, have that eagle vision, right? And while a lot of us are not eagles, and while we are chickens, and we continue to eat the same stuff over and over, right? A lot of it starts at home. Like, does anybody know how eagles learn to fly? Anybody know? How they learn, KP?
Doesn't the mother typically push them out the nest, and then if they
just throw them in the wall, throw them in the smoke.
For their whole little eagle kid life, they get food brought to them, food brought to them, food brought to them, food brought to them, food brought to them. Then one day, got the meal, gone. Throw them over. You got to learn to fly, right? But often in our culture, we're often saved. We don't get told the truth. The food is always brought to us, right? Oh, you get to stay here, right? Or you make a mistake and you really need help. That's when you get put out, right? But we're often not really set up to like, yo, go fly, because we're scared, right? Because a lot of us come from chickens, and that's fine. I'm not questioning love. I'm not questioning intent. I'm not questioning character, right? But there's a bigger picture. And when you're that cycle breaker, for the sake of this image, this picture that I'm painting, see, this is the advantage that we got being human. A gazelle cannot turn into a lion. It's not happening. A chicken cannot turn into an eagle. It's not happening. But we're the king of the world because of our mind. You shift your mind, you can turn from a chicken to an eagle. Because your thoughts, choices, behavior, experience, emotions are different. What you believe, what you anticipate, what you're intentional about, what you focus on, what you experience is different. So it all starts off here. Like, I know we said some controversial things, and I'm not the type like Just did. He provided you with a qualifier, right, to sound nice. I don't do that, right? I just be respectful, and I'm sincere. It may not be the truth, but it's my truth, right? So we said some controversial things. It's cool, right? But it takes crazy people to do crazy stuff. Like, since we're on culture today, Malcolm X was a nut. He was a nut, right? But he thought different. He believed in something different. Martin Luther King was a nut. Rosa Parks was a nut. All of the people that we remember, they was crazy. What you mean you're not going to get up from the back? Nelson Mandela, willing to do that bid all those years. He a nut. All different cultures. Mother Teresa, Gandhi, all the people, they was crazy, right? Because they thought different and they believed in something, and everything else changed, right? Have that lion attitude, have that eagle perspective. So whoever else want to share, we got a hard stop at 10:15. So cut it down to 30 seconds or a minute, and we're going to get out of here.
Just to build on that, people only think you're crazy until whatever it is that you believe pans out. And if if it's the first time that what you're trying to do has happened, then yeah, it looks crazy as hell because you've never seen it before. But if you believe and you trust yourself and you plan, once it comes to fruition, it's not crazy anymore.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bobby.
I 1,000% agree with that. My closing thought from Malcolm's last conversation was what our grandparents had to do different than their parents in order to be successful in the world that was given to them. Our parents had to do different than their parents, than our grandparents. And we have to do different than our parents, right? The opportunities that are ahead, that are laid on the table for us, are different than our parents. And quite honestly, this is probably, if you are a minority or you identify as a minority, this is the best opportunity that we've been given thus far in our experience in this country yet. All right. I don't think that there's many people that can argue that, and from anywhere from education to services to any other category, right? There is more opportunity and more help now than ever in this country for us as minorities. And if that statement is true, which I believe we all agree that that is true, that means that our approach has to be much more relentless than our parents or our grandparents, because now we are the people that have benefited, or all the work that Rosa Parks, all the work that MLK, all the work that Gandhi and Mandela did, they didn't get a chance to reap the benefit of opportunity, but they did it because they knew that it was for the future generations. And look at how much God thought of us. He thought in the late 80s, early 90s to birth a generation of jokers that can step into the opportunities that those past generations have fought for, died for, got locked up for. Don't take that lightly, man. Right? Don't see what they saw through the same lens. See what they saw, but define it differently. Move differently. Done. Sorry.
We're gonna get you your own show, Joyce.
Who else want to rap?
Got you.
Good?
I'm done.
All right. Anybody else? Nah? All right. Well, I'll leave y'all with this. A lot of what we talked about today is a communication of how we changed how we thought, and a plea for you to change how you think in a way that works better for you in your life. And to give you like some true knowledge, that's called a cognitive reconstruction, right? There's a lot of neural circuits in your brain that connect, right? So normally you take I-95 from DC to Maryland, right? I mean, from DC to Jersey. But what I ask you to do is like, maybe you can learn to take 301. There's a lot less traffic. It's a lot lonelier road, right? It's actually a little bit longer, but you'll get there faster, right? And there's a lot less resistance, right? But it's scientifically proven, right? I ain't even gonna talk about religion, because that's gonna be a personal thing. But it takes more or less 100 days in a row to do something intentionally for you to change from 95 to 301 in your brain. You change those neural circuits. It's a fact. So that's why we're so big on the 7 days a week and this 90-day commitment. It's January 10th, 365 times 2 is 730. I haven't missed a workout in 740 days. I started off with 90. I'm a beast, right? Up here. This physical thing is nothing, all right? I missed 1 day of reading in 700 and whatever days. 2 years ago, I never read a book in my life. I'm about to start book 41, right? Had a couple businesses before that never lasted this long. This business has lasted, right? We still got so much to prove. But I want to close out with, go ahead, Jess.
Not only has the business lasted, it has grown.
It has grown, right? And I cannot and I will not take that credit as myself, right? Because I got all these people with me, but this is my baby. This came from my mind, right? You guys are part of my team in this area, right? We got other teams. We're part of KP's team when we got to shoot something. But for this, right, started from my mind, and I could not do it by myself. I had to find some other lions, right? And some of y'all, I'm gonna keep it G. Y'all was chickens when we started this. I had to beg y'all like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Then you change your mind. Then you change your mind. All right. So we're gonna see y'all next week. Any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment. Maybe that'll be the topic for next week. Because for now, we're going to shift to market overhead perspectives, because we're working on some other things to give you some better information about the actual stock plays. Which I got a good 10, 15 videos now of stock plays to get some principles down. So get that paper trading in, pay attention to the news, use the news, don't let the news use you. Keep your head strong. Peace out.